Good good afternoon, Nevis, and welcome to another edition of On Point for today, the 13th day of September 2024. And of course, it is my pleasure being here once again for this program. My name is Alexis Jeffers, and indeed, I have to start with an apology again because I've missed 2 weeks of this program. For the last 2 Fridays, I've been in and out of the island of Nevis, of course. I did say I was leaving to, go off to Anguilla with these youngsters who are playing cricket there, but I'll get to that just now. But it is always a difficult thing to leave and go and not be here, but it is equally a good time to come back and speak with you once again and be in your company. So let me say good afternoon to the entire island of Nevis, all of the parishes, constituencies here on the island of Nevis, St. James, St. Thomas Parish, St. Paul, St. John's, and St. George. All of the parishes that make up the island of Nevis, you're in tune to Von Radio, 860 AM and 93.7 FM. Of course, down in St. Kitts, we do have a large following as well, too, because Von Radio has been around for over 30 plus years, and persons have made Von Radio their station of choice, not only here in Nevis, but in St. Kitts. So I say good afternoon to all who are listening down there in St. Kitts. Thanks for joining us, because you're using your luncheon period to at least connect with the island of Nevis, at least listen to what is happening here on the island of Nevis, your sister island. Yes, we do have following as well down in Statia, Sabre, St. Bart's, French and Dutch St. Martin, the US and British Virgin Islands, Puerto Rico, the whole of the United States and Europe, and all the way into Asia. I want to say what? It is now good, well, it's 1 o'clock in the morning. I was going to say good morning to my colleagues who are there, the Honorable Eric Evelyn, the Honorable Latoya Jones, and also Cabinet Secretary for the NIA, that is Mr. Stedman Trust. They're there on government business, and I'm sure exploring as much as they can of Taiwan, but getting a good knowledge of our friends there in the Republic of China, Taiwan. Very beautiful place, lovely place to go, and somewhere where you always feel welcome and embraced as a brother or sister. But we have embraced them as well too as our best friends, and I want to say a pleasant good morning, to all who are listening there in the Republic of China, Taiwan as well. Well, usually we start the program with some information, so to speak. I believe there are persons who are in the bereaved column at this point in time. Don't have anyone's name in front of me per se specifically, but over the last couple of days we have had some homegoing services that I myself would have missed because I was off island. I missed yesterday the homegoing service for Mr. Wesley Tindy Daniel. Earlier in the week I certainly would have missed the homegoing service for Keith Lee Anderson Brown, Weed Walkerman as we would call him. That was on Tuesday. On Monday, of course, I would have missed my good friend's homegoing service as well. Melford Queely, we call him Toby, from up there in Fountain. And of course, on Saturday last, Verner Roberts was laid to rest. And then indeed on Friday last, Mr. Drake Ward. So all those persons except Keith Lee, who were from the constituency of St. James, and I certainly, I'm sorry that I would have missed those funeral services, but of course you cannot be in two places at the same time. I did actually send my best wishes and so forth to all of the families involved, and indicated to them that I was unable to attend, but my understanding is that those homegoing services were well attended, and they were excellent to the point where persons said they had a good time being in the company of the family and giving them their support. Well, I must say at this point, I did say I didn't have any name. I cannot recall. No, I was not here since the passing of Mr. Wiggly Daniel, who was the neighbor of Toby Queely. Wiggly would have passed away, and I want to say At this point in time, I have not caught up with the family as yet, but publicly I'd like to express my sympathies to Wigley's wife, Mrs. Daniel, and the entire family, all who are connected to Wigley and who are grieving at this time. I want to express my sympathies and to wish you all the best in terms of coping with these difficult times, because it's never easy losing a loved one. Losing a loved one is a point in time where you have a void that is left behind. And how could that void be filled? Because Wigley would have spent 80 years here on this earth. And of course, over a number of years, he would have built his family. And his family would have been the beneficiary of his hard work and dedication to family, of course. He was a church goer. He was a community man. At least he worked at one point as well. In latter stages, he would have worked up there at the S.L. Horsford Building Center. And indeed, the whole of Nevis know of Wigley's exploits, and the whole of Nevis will certainly miss him in some way or the other. I'm sure those of you who are fond of his, what should I say, his humor, and sometimes he can be comedic in his approach to you, and always have a riddle, always had some contraption that he would bring to you and ask you to untangle this if you can, and most times we would fail, and then he would just show you in an easy fashion how it is done. But a lot of us have pleasant memories, and we want to just embrace those memories and hold on to them. And of course, when the time comes, we'll certainly go out and lend our support to the entire family. So the whole of Fountain, the whole of St. James, who would have known Wigley, the whole of Nevis, all of us are with you, the Daniel family, in this regard. So may his soul continue to rest in peace. Of course, you have persons who are departing this earth, persons who are still here and are celebrating life. And I want to wish anyone who are celebrating a birthday, an anniversary, or some milestone today, I want to wish you all of the best. And as I always say, find time for yourself on your special day. If you have whatever amount of money, spend some on yourself and feel good about doing so. Once you have health and strength, you'll be able to replenish that at some point. But I'm saying to you, do not wait for anyone to come and celebrate with you. You can celebrate by yourself. Yeah, you should know how to do that over these years. But if persons are celebrating with you, of course, indeed, you celebrate with them as well and have a wonderful time. So have fun today. This is belated, but sometime, I believe it was last week, Wednesday. Yes, that is just prior to me leaving on the last trip that I took. Cicely Phillip would have celebrated a significant milestone, 60 years. I didn't get to mention it prior to, and this is the aftermath, so to speak. So I'm saying, Cicely, publicly, I'm letting the whole world know that you turned 60, because as they always say, you're 60, but you don't look nothing close to 60. And of course, you have worked hard all your life and you've raised a family almost single-handedly. But of course, you're now a mother, grandmother, and I believe that your investment in your family will pay dividends for you, because I see them all doing what they have to do. You have teacher, you have persons in different fields as well, and of course, and Skidder, of course, who is a sports officer. So you have really done a marvelous job in raising your children, and of course, I want to wish you many more years of success for the next 10 years, of course, so you can get to that 70. You have reached 70, so the additional 10 will be good. And then indeed anything after that would be, as they say, gravy or an added asset to you. So I wish you well. Anyone else, like I said, who are celebrating, I wish you all the best moving into the future as well. Okay, so as it is, we are in the hurricane season still. We have heard of quite a number of systems that are coming across the Atlantic Ocean. And at this point in time, we are almost at the peak of the season. there was a hurricane which would have gone into, I believe it was Mississippi, Louisiana area. And of course that has now dissipated and no longer a hurricane, but at least when it made landfall, it was a hurricane. And there's some waves coming across the Atlantic Ocean, which it is anticipated that they may become tropical storms or something more. All we are praying and hoping is that they stay clear of all of us here in the Caribbean and stay clear of any landmass. But of course these storms have a mind of their own, so they can make landfall anywhere. But we here in the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis, we continue to pray and to hope that this year will continue to be one which is not as impactful as the pundits or the weather pundits would have indicated. And that being the case, we would want to pray for some rain, pray for as much rain as possible, because that is always a blessing to have. And of course, pray for some cooler weather conditions as well. It's been pretty hot in recent times. But the hurricane season still with us, and we still have to be ever prepared for whatever may come our way. But we continue to pray that anything out there would steer clear of us. And so far, so good. And we certainly thank God for all of his blessings. Well, today is Friday, the 13th of September. It is one of those days when we have all kinds of suspicions. All kinds of suspicions. And indeed, I myself was always thinking and wondering, why is the 13th of of the month, which fall on a Friday, is a suspicious time, or a time when we have all kinds of different negative things that we would say may happen or may not happen. Well, we are hoping for the best every time the 13th of any month comes around on a Friday. Well, this year we'll see another 13th of Friday the 13th again later this year. I believe it is in December. And for those of us who are not familiar with this particular date and how it comes around, anytime a month start on a Sunday, the first day of the month on a Sunday, well, you're guaranteed to have a 13th day, which is on a Friday. Yeah, check it out. That is I discovered that the other day. I say, wait, what is so significant about the 13th of September? Well, or Friday the 13th to be exact. Well, the first day of the month, if it falls on a Sunday, then you'll have a Friday the 13th day. And of course, it occurs about once or twice per year. Sorry. And sometime up to 3 times per year. But anyway, we're not going to be digging too much into that, and we're not going to make that a part of our discourse today. All I'm saying is that, well, be safe today if you're suspicious about the day. Yeah? Okay, so let me quickly as well put in a plug here for this particular group, that is the Links promotion group up there in Brickhill. For the past 4 years, they've been having what is dubbed Pork and Beer Festival. It has grown from strength to strength every year. And last year I missed out because I was not on island. But last year I understand there was a phenomenal crowd up there in Brickhill on the hard court. That's up at Whitehall on the hard court, the basketball court up there. So they have this thing they dub Pork and Beer Festival. Started 4 years ago. I believe it was it 2019, I believe, and then we missed out on 2020 or something like that. But anyway, this is the 4th annual event, and of course it is all things pork and beer, and other things will be sold as well. Pork will be sold, prepared and sold in different styles, whether it's barbecue pork, stew pork, roast pork, or whatever type of pork they would have it up there for you. But I like this idea because, of course, it adds another activity on the calendar of activities that will run throughout the whole year here in Nevis. We know of the Mango Festival in July, the start of July. We know of the Fish Festival that is held down there in Jessops. There's a Breadfruit Festival that is held up there in Bansgot, I believe, and there are other festivals that are held throughout the year. Well, the guys over there in Brickhill that make up this particular promotional group, Jariv and his team, Jariv Jeffers and his team, they now have a pork and beer festival. Lovers of pork, you cannot miss out on this activity. It will be held on Saturday, the 23rd of November. That's in another 2 months thereabout. But I'm talking about this early because I also want those of you out there, when they call and ask for support, give these young men your support, because of course once our young people are involved in activities such as this, it is a good thing. It means that they're utilizing their time in a good way, and a way that is beneficial to not only themselves but the entire community. And so, at least from what I'm seeing here, is that they've had one entertainer thus far who has given his consent to be there, and that is Itebulous. I think Itebulous have a song about pork chop. Also, well, he gonna sing that song over there as well too when he comes, I'm sure. So that is certainly a good person, a good act to have over there, along with whatever bands will be there. They'll make those announcements as they go along. So I thought about mentioning that today, because this program will be archived at some point and be on YouTube, and of course those who listen again will certainly get a chance to hear about it as they go along throughout the next couple of weeks leading up to the event. Okay, so let's give that as much support as we can. Moving right along now, let me just touch on something quickly. Yes, I did say that I was out of here for the last couple of weekends. I went to Anguilla with the Wendell Austin Wallace Cricket Academy to lend my support to the young men and young women who would have gone down there to play cricket. And I will say they would have done a marvelous job down there in Anguilla. The whole idea was to take them down to Anguilla and see how they will compete or how they match up against similar age range, 13 and under. And I will say they gave a very good account of themselves down there. At least there were 4 matches planned. 3 were played because the last day, the Friday, there were some showers, and that would have created some difficulty, and in that the pitch got wet, so no play was had for that day. But for the 3 games in question, the first game, if I can recall, just giving you the scores, for example, from what I recall, the first match was a 15 overs match, and the guys from the academy here on Nevis would have made 207 runs, I believe, in 15 overs, and bowled out the Anguilla team for, I believe, somewhere around 35 runs or thereabout. The second match, the team from Nevis, from the Wendell Wallace Academy, would have made, I believe, 178 runs thereabout, or 176, and then bowl out the team from Anguilla for, I believe, 36 runs thereabout, somewhere around there. 30-something runs for sure. Now, the third match was a mixture of players from Nevis who would have played with some of the younger folks there from Anguilla, and the Nevis team would have made, or the Wendell Wallace Academy team would have made about 178, 176, 170 something though. Am I correct? Maybe it's 190 something, whatever it is. But the response was just what? 61 runs or 60 something runs. But all in all, the ultimate thing is that the 3 games that the team from the academy here in Nevis, Wendell Wallace Academy, would have played 3 matches, and they gave a good account of themselves, where in each match they made a significant amount of runs and would have bowled out the opposition for very little. That is not to say that the teams or the players from Anguilla are that bad, but I believe they were short on practice, and I believe if we were to meet them another time when they're able to put in some more practice and hone their skills some more, I believe that they would probably give a better account of themselves then. I will also say that there are plans afoot to have multiple teams come to Nevis at some point in the future, near future that is, from Anguilla, from St. Kitts, Nevis, and we'll reach out to Antigua as well to see what is available there, so that we can have some competition among these islands. And what it does, it certainly provides some competition from very early on, and then indeed as they get older, get to the regional side of it and perhaps to the West Indies level, they will see each other for many years to come, and that will be, I believe, could lead to some resurrection in the state of cricket in the West Indies, because of course people who play together, they play against each other, but they play together. They develop that type of relationship, and the skills can be passed on, skills can be honed, and then of course down the road we can have the net result of that in terms of us having a much more competitive level of cricket in the Caribbean, and also globally, of course. I love cricket, and once cricket succeeds, I am all for that, and whatever we can all do in our little corner of the world before we get on the global stage, that could have significant impact as well. Okay, so we'll talk more about cricket sometime in the future, and indeed look to get more and gain more from these young men, because we've been paying a lot of attention on our young girls. Mark you, there are young girls playing in this academy and a part of this academy as well. But I want to say that there are a lot of attention being paid to our young girls and young ladies, and to some extent that has been to the detriment of our young boys and young men. And so I do believe that there's enough resources, there's enough space and enough persons among us to lend the attention to both girls and boys, men and women. There is certainly enough space and enough resources for all of us to play our part. Doesn't have to be a one-size-fits-all. We can certainly extend our efforts to all and make sure that we have, both sides of the aisles coming up in this world to be what we want them to be: solid men, solid women, solid boys, solid girls. So there's nothing wrong with us having all of the resources spread equally among all of us. Yeah. So that being said, we'll leave that for now, and if anyone out there who are listening who wants to be a part of the Wendell Wallace Academy, meaning parents who want their children to be a part of this academy, you can certainly call Wendell Micey Wallace at 668-3998. And I know why I'm giving out that number because the academy is not just for, let's say, the St. James area or the VOJ area. That is where it's based, but if you live in Cox, you live in Clegot, you live in Prospect, wherever you live on the island of Nevis, we know that Nevis is not a large place. It is a place you can get to any point within minutes. And so if you're interested in having your son or your daughter be a part of this academy, just call Micey Wallace and ask him to accommodate you. He will let you know what the rules are, and of course you can be a part of his academy so that you can have something for your young daughter or your young son to do that is certainly productive and certainly beneficial to one and all. Okay, so we move on from there, and of course I made a trip to the United States over last weekend. As a member of the federal parliament, I was selected by the opposition leader, the Honorable Mark Brantley, to attend a conference that was geared towards CARICOM countries. It was put on by Parliamentary. That is an organization that seek to enhance and hone the skills of parliamentarians throughout the CARICOM region, Central and Latin America, for example. And indeed, other organizations that were involved was the USAID, and also this arm of the U.S. Congress, which involves Democrats and Republicans. They come together, and it is called the U.S. House Democracy Partnership. So it's a partnership between Democrats and Republicans, and that is a good sign where both sides can come together in the interest of ensuring that they are working together to ensure that those who they are trying to reach benefits from whatever they're trying to impart. But anyway, it was a conference for 2 days. It was held there at the Florida International University, FIU, and indeed it was intense but beneficial in the end. And of course, the theme, or the theme under which this particular conference was held, was the role of parliamentarians in transforming the digital economies in the Caribbean, the role of Parliament in transforming the digital economies in the Caribbean. And like I said, it was geared towards CARICOM countries. So Jamaica was in attendance, Guyana, Trinidad, Barbados, St. Lucia, of course St. Kitts and Nevis, of course Antigua was there as well. No one from St. Vincent was there from what I recall. Dominica was there as well. So you had 2 participants from each country. Well, of course, from St. Kitts and Nevis, I was the only participant. But that's okay. I was there in my capacity as an opposition member. And indeed, it was all about the technology that is being used in Parliament, technology and how it affects Parliament, especially what we are now moving into a new phase in technology, and that is artificial intelligence, AI, and how that can be used as a tool and not so much as a weapon when it comes to Parliament and parliamentarians. We have seen AI being used in some devastating ways in recent times. But of course, parliaments in the Caribbean will have to soon move towards adopting regulations or legislation and regulations to counter some of these challenges and difficulties. So it's not something that we should shy away from or not embrace because of some of the negatives that are out there, but it is something that we certainly would have to embrace because it is the way of the future. Based on some of the things that were imparted, it is obvious that based on the data and the statistics that have been compiled thus far, over the next 10 years, they're saying that at least 7 trillion, I'm not saying billion, 7 trillion persons and entities, society and countries, and there will be impact of up to 7 trillion impacts, let's put it that way, 7 trillion impacts in whether good ways, bad ways, in the commercial, the non-commercial areas, in education, in agriculture, in healthcare, public life, public sector, private sector. So it is going to be the way of the future. And how do you embrace AI or artificial intelligence to use as a tool and not so much as a weapon is for all of us to decide as parliamentarians and as a global community, because it won't just be for parliamentarians to be impacted, but more so for parliamentarians to design or provide the necessary legislation so that the impact can be felt in a positive way and not a negative way. So this thing is still evolving, and as it evolves, we have to be a part of it, because just like how there were phenomenons in the past when the internet came about, and also all of the different operating systems that are out there, Windows 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, all the way up to, I don't even know if where are we now? We're up to Windows maybe 13 or 14. I don't even know where we are. Same way with cell phones, where we have Samsung 1, 2, 3, they're up to 24. iPhone also have new features and new phones that they're putting out. So every year there's something new, and everything that we'll experience moving forward will have some degree of artificial intelligence attached to it, which all of us, whether young, not so young, and the old, will have to be in tune with what is going on. And I say the elderly cannot be left out, because even banking online, I know elderlies are engaged in that at this point in time. A lot of them out there are right now, trying to work their way around the different platforms that are available. So a lot of elderly, a lot of not so old persons and young persons, and especially our children, Our children seem to be grabbing some of these, grabbing some of these, the knowledge of some of these technologies very quickly. So there's a space for everyone, and with technology, all of us will have to be up to date. I can say personally that I am not too good at the technology that is out there. It is good enough for what I want to do, but it therefore means that I have to continue myself to increase my knowledge and embrace what is out there. That is just life. That is the way of the future. But anyway, that was that conference, and many more things were imparted, but of course we'll leave that for now because that could be a conversation until the end of the program. So that was good. Both trips were beneficial in that I was able to spend time with the youngsters, young ladies and young boys, and also go to the United States and be a part of this conference and get some tools and some knowledge. And the most important thing I would have garnered in terms of a takeaway is that the artificial intelligence, we can use it as a tool and not so much as a weapon, but some people will have to decide as they go along how they want to use that. Yeah, okay, so that takes care of that, and let me move on quickly, because I just said that I was off island, and sometimes when you go off island, in my case for example, I can tell you it is always good because there's always something to learn, something to see, and something that you can bring back and utilize right here on the island of Nevis. But before I go on to anything else, we're in the celebration of our 41st anniversary of independence. I almost neglected to mention this, because tomorrow evening up there at the what you call it, the cultural village, there will be an excellent, a wonderful show up there. And I believe the featured artist, international artist, will be Mr. Killer out of Grenada. That guy who sing about I wanna fat girl, I wanna roly poly. Yeah. And there was another one, but pick up something, I think. Pick up something, run with it, something like that. Yeah. But anyway, this is an energetic guy, you know. Everything he sings is upbeat and height, you know, that tempo, you know. So he'll be there. That will be a good act to go and have a look at and to enjoy that evening. Plus also Taurus Riley, who many of us are familiar with, on the more conscious side, and you know, the side that the family will go and have a nice wholesome presentation from him, so that you can enjoy. And of course there'll be quite a number of local artists who will be on the show as well. I don't have all of the names, but of course the posters and flyers have been out there for a number of days now, or more than a week. So tomorrow evening you'll have a chance to go to the cultural village, that brand spanking new and beautiful place they call the cultural village, and of course it is free of course. And they say when something is free, go and get two of it. You get two artists, international artists, yes, but a number of artists from here on the island of Nevis and St. Kitts in the Federation. So this is an independence treat, of course, and that is dubbed the Freedom Concert. So go on out and enjoy that tomorrow night. I hope I have some strength to go out and enjoy myself. So that is tomorrow, Saturday the 14th. Of course, Sunday is a national service of Thanksgiving and gratitude and so forth. That will be Sunday. I don't know, where would that be? But anyway, I saw it on the calendar. Those of you who have a calendar, have a look at it. And indeed, on Monday is a holiday. That is National Heroes Day. There's normally a ceremony down there at National Heroes Park, just across from the RLB airport. So that is where that event will be held. Of course, next Wednesday, the 18th of September, is Patriotic Day, where you wear something patriotic, something that have the color of the flag or national dress or whatever you want to wear next year. But next week, sorry, you wear something that is consistent with our national colors next Wednesday. And of course, next Thursday, the 19th of September, is Independence Day. We'll celebrate our 41st independence, and of course up there at the El Comido Willett Park, E.T. Willett Park, we'll have the usual parade, Independence Day parade, where our uniform bodies will be there performing, and there'll be a ceremony as well where persons who were selected to be a recipient of Independence Award will be given their awards as well. I believe that starts at 8 a.m. Next Thursday, the 19th of September. I'm encouraging one and all, listen, it's a holiday, yeah? So if you are on a break, a holiday, you get up in the morning, you come down and you have, you know, a look at what is going on. It will take just about an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours at the most. But you come for 8 o'clock, and then you have the whole day ahead of you to go home and rest up. So if you're thinking it's a holiday, I'm going to lie down in my bed and rest up because I have a holiday. No, you can get up, come to Charlestown for 8 o'clock, to the park for 8, have a look at the celebration, and then you can go home, have the whole of the day ahead of you to rest up. I don't know of any other major activity that will be held on that day. Most persons may go to the beach or wherever else and celebrate in their own way on that given day. But I want to encourage all of our citizens, all of our people, as many of you, to come to Charlestown, to the E.T. Willett Park for 8 a.m. next Thursday, and have a look at the parade and the ceremony that will be held to celebrate our 41st anniversary of independence. And of course, you will then know who the recipients are of the Independence Award there that same very morning, because those awards will be given out then. So that is my plea to all of us to go on out, come on out and have some celebration with us there at Grove Park. Okay, so I was saying that sometimes it's good to take a trip out, and when you go anywhere and once you're out there, you're always anticipating coming home. And it's always a good feeling to come back home, because it gives you that feeling that, listen, there's no place like home. And sometimes we call down our little island here called Nevis, we say the worst things about Nevis. But when you compare Nevis to many other places that you have gone to, you say, you have to tell yourself, boy, Nevis is way ahead of many, you know. And I've gone to quite a number of Caribbean islands. Some may have some amenities that are different to what we have. They may have more than us in some regard, but we also have more than them in some regard as well too. And I can tell you, we talk about the cost of living. We have gone in recent times, I would tell you the cost of living is through the roof compared to Nevis. Yes, things are expensive here in Nevis, indeed, but keep in mind, if you're not producing something, if you're not producing items that you want to consume, whether it's a food item or any other item that you need, if you're not producing, then they have to be brought here to the island of Nevis. There are a lot of cost involved in bringing anything to the island of Nevis. It starts with the production cost out there, whether in the United States, whether in Europe, it starts with the production cost. And anything that affects the production cost in the United States, in England, in Asia, Japan, wherever, if it affects, there's something that affects that cost, it will certainly affect the cost of the good or whatever it is that lands here on the island of Nevis. As a matter of fact, before it gets here, the other cost that is not fixed, it is variable based on fuel costs, labor costs and the likes, and that is the cost of shipment. Shipment to the island of Nevis or to the Caribbean or wherever it's going, it is expensive these days. And the routes that were being used in the past to get goods to the Caribbean or to the United States from Europe or from Asia to these countries, those routes are no longer available in some regards. So you have to take a longer route, for example, to get goods to the Caribbean or to the United States out of Asia or even Europe. So there are a lot of factors out there that are affecting the cost of goods, cost of services, and of course the ultimate cost to us as consumers. Be that as it may, I will say the cost of goods here in Nevis, yes, Some regards they are high, but they are even higher wherever you go. And many may say, I don't care about what happened in other countries, but you must be concerned about what happens in other countries. And you must be up to date with what is going on in other countries, because you cannot present an argument based on Nevis alone. That argument is what I would call a fatal argument, in that when the facts are presented, one will have to understand exactly why goods are priced the way they are in Nevis. Are persons overpricing goods on Nevis? That is another question, and that's another argument that we can get into, another discussion we can get into. But I would implore upon our business persons here on the island is that to be considerate and be as considerate as you can. Let me use that word when it comes to your pricing, because of course there is a price unit here, price control unit here on Nevis. They don't always do all of the work that should be done, but sometimes we can be our own police, so to speak, police ourselves, and understand that you can probably get more turnover with a good price than what is considered to be an excessive price. You can get a better turnover, and as far as I'm concerned, there is profit to be made in volume, turnover of your volume of goods. You can keep them there on your shelf at a high price and they don't move, or you can sell them at a reasonable price and they'll go. But I mentioned that because I had a chance to purchase items in another neighboring island, and I compare prices, and when I look at what I get for the monies that I would have spent there compared to Nevis, I say we're not that badly off, and we need to really stop it when it comes to the criticisms and the negativity that we're putting out there, because when it's all said and done, Nevis, in my humble opinion, is way ahead of many. Of course, when it comes to the infrastructure here in Nevis, we are certainly way ahead of many as well too, because we have good roads, we have water running 24/7, we have stable electricity, we have a stable and well-established healthcare system. Our education system is on par with any other. So when it comes to the social fabric here on the island of Nevis and the social services that are being offered, I will say that we are well ahead, and we are continuing our work as a government. And I say as a government because I'm a member of the Concerned Citizens Movement, and indeed I will say that we continue to look out for the best interests of the people of Nevis. And that is demonstrative in the way that we go about our implementation of our policies and our programs here on the island of Nevis, where the young, the not so young, and the old are being, their interests are being looked after. And so sometimes you hear all of this attack on Mark Brantley and the CCM, attack coming from the east, attack coming from the west, attack coming from the south, attack coming from the north, all over the place. But one thing I can certainly say to you, that someone like Mark Brantley and others can be equal opportunity attackers. We can attack anybody, but we don't see ourselves as persons who are elected as a government to attack, counter-attack, or anything of that sort. We were elected by the people of Nevis. We as a government, that is, were elected by the people of Nevis to attack the issues that are important to the people of Nevis, so as to make their lives and their livelihood better. So while those are coming with their personal attack, attacking Mark Brantley, attacking Eric Evelyn, attacking Spencer Brown, attacking CCM, attacking whomever, I just get me attacked too, but anyway, I don't even worry about that. While they're coming with their attack, we are in a position as a government and as a people to attack the issues, first and foremost, that are important to the people of Nevis, in terms of ensuring that we are doing the things to make their lives and livelihood better. So I would say the attacks will come, and those issues that are to be tackled, we'll continue to tackle them. Because with all that is being said, this is something that do not get as much airtime and being talked about. Sometime late last year, the cabinet of the Nevis Island administration would have introduced this daycare assistance program to our mostly single mothers, I think are benefiting, where $300 or up to $300 per month was paid to parents to subsidize the cost of child care, that is, their care at the daycare center or whatever the case might be. That was clamored for, that was being asked for, and the Premier, Mark Brantley, and his team would have devised that program so that our single mothers can benefit. And of course the ultimate beneficiary would be the child or the children who that $300 would affect or impact. Yeah? And these are things that we tend to overlook, you know. But look at the flip side of that. $300 in some cases may not be a huge amount for some, and that's fine. But $300 is $300 less that parent would have to find, or to go and find somewhere to pay for their expenses for their child. And that in and of itself, in my opinion, is a huge deal when it comes to looking after our most vulnerable among us. And so I want to commend the Premier and his team for that. That is ongoing, and indeed it is a marvelous thing. Now, I also would have spoken before, and it's worth repeating, because sometimes we forget some of these things, because it's like the negatives tend to drown out the positive, and sometimes you have to spend some time to speak about your positive results or give a positive report as to what you're doing. Because you see this non-established workers' pension plan that many may have talked about, many may have contemplated doing, and many didn't do. Well, this concerned citizens movement under the leadership of Mark Brantley would have introduced that in 2022. And persons' lives have been made so much better as a result of this particular non-established workers' pension program. So it therefore means you're now retiring as a non-established worker with some dignity in your life. Dignity to the point where you now know where your finances are going to be like going into the future. You now know where that dollar is going to come from, so that you can sustain yourself and not be out there wondering, or I want to use the word begging, or beseeching your family members to support you, because you now have some stability in your life. And that is why I say sometimes when you hear the attack coming and you hear all of this talk, this negativity, we have been attacking the issues that are important instead of attacking people, you know, because we can attack anybody out there. But instead of attacking people, we are attacking the issues that are important to the people of Nevis, and the people of Nevis are better off as a result, and the results are there to show, because a lot of the noise that you normally would hear coming from both sides of the aisle, you're just hearing it from one side. But I always remind the people of Nevis that you have an opposition here on the island called the NRP. They have a culture of lies, deceit. They have a culture of misrepresentation, misinformation, and all they try to do is to put something out there that sounds good to their supporters, but to the majority of people in Nevis, the majority of people in Nevis are looking for results. They want to hear about the airport, when will that start? And I want to say to the people of Nevis, although you haven't heard anything on the radio or you haven't heard anything from me, in the background we continue to work on that project. And we're hoping in short order to come back to the public, and when we come this time, we'll have more substance to put to you. Meaning we have put some information to you before as to what we are proposing to do. We're moving forward with ensuring that we can lock down and tie down all of these land issues, and also get the EIA presented to the public, and then we can move forward hopefully before the end of the year with some work. And that is what the people of Nevis are looking forward to. We don't want to hear foolishness about socks and shoes that they tend to spend time talking about, how the Premier might dress us, how I might dress, or whoever might dress, right? We don't want to hear that. People want to hear substance. Like, for example, when we came into government, I can recall, you see that quarry up in the mountain, the government quarry that was run and operated by a foreign entity, a foreign company. All of the trucks going there were foreign owned. All of the workers who were there were foreign owned. All the money that was made by a foreign entity. I don't know who was getting kickbacks and kick up and whatever with that quarry, but that didn't sound right to me, that you can take up a whole quarry with resources that belong to the people of Nevis and give it away to a foreign entity. Didn't make any sense. Well, lo and behold, we came into government, and we have now, as a government, taken control through the Nevis housing and land of that particular quarry. And you know, many people may not see this and understand this. When we came into government, all of the crushed stones and sand was being imported into Nevis from our neighboring islands, whether it came from not Tortola, St. Lucia, Dominica, Montserrat, or in some cases St. Croix, because the aggregates needed for the road projects that we have done here, the grade of stone was coming from either St. Croix or St. Lucia. Be that as it may, stones and sand that was used for construction of houses were being imported from, let's say, Montserrat, for example. We made a conscious decision under the CCM government that we're going to produce the stones and produce the sand that is needed for construction. Well, not barren, but outside of the sand that is used for plastering of buildings. That is imported from Guyana, because we don't remove sand from the shores of our beaches. Anyway, the stones that used to be imported from Montserrat, for example, none of that come to Nevis now. There have been years now, since perhaps in 2016 thereabout, we have imported stones into Nevis for construction. Stones come from up there in the quarry, locally produced stones, keeping the foreign exchange in Nevis. So an entity here in Nevis that used to import stones from Montserrat don't have to send $50,000 to Montserrat to buy stones, to tie up monies in Montserrat and have stones sitting down there for weeks, months, until they are fully used up. They can come to the quarry every day and get a couple of yards of stone for their daily mix, and then you're on your way. And the same thing with sand as well too, and we have exported as well too. So that is an industry that sometimes does not get the attention. But what was done in 2016 to eliminate the sending of our foreign exchange to another country, that was huge on our banking system here. And it was huge for the entities who were mixing concrete, because they did not have to send a whole heap of money, or whole ton of money, as they say, to other countries to buy material. They can buy it right here, so the money stays here, circulate here. Local people are employed, local trucks are employed to bring the material from the quarry, and the local resources are being used, and they're quality resources, and it leads to quality construction as well. So these are things that we sometimes do not talk about. But when they come with their nonsense and their Nancy stories, sometimes we gravitate to that, which is so unfortunate. But good things are happening in Nevis. Good things continue to happen in Nevis. Our unemployment rate has gotten back to the pre-pandemic levels. I can recall prior to the pandemic, over 6,000 plus persons were employed here on the island of Nevis. And then it fell off during the pandemic, but now we are back to those levels and pushing ahead and increasing the employment rate here on the island of Nevis. There's work out there, so those of you who are looking for some work to do, go and find the work. It's there. There are some bulletins being put out from time to time as to where jobs are. Go and find those jobs. It may not be something that you would want to do immediately, or something that you don't want to embrace as a profession going into the future, but you do what you can for the time being. Little is much, they say. Well, you are in when God is in it, but little is much, whatever it is. I always said that I started out in construction. I was in the pool industry. I became a politician. I became an elected official. I went through all different phases of employment to get to where I am. And the same you can do as well to all of us who are still out there, able-bodied bodies that is, can go out and find employment. And I always refer to my good friend Booger. He's a good example of someone who said one day, listen, I'm not going sixth farm. I'm going to work construction with Shiverton. And he went and worked construction with Shiverton, and see, Booger is now one of the biggest contractors here on the island of Nevis. He is one who would continue or carry on the legacy of Shiverton, of Lescott, of whomever out there who have been established contractors in this island over the years. And I love to see how young people take on these challenges. I like to see how young people make up their mind early that this is what I want to do, and go and do it and stick to it, and then you'll see the results in terms of not only financial returns, but there'll be gratification in the end that you have done something to bring pride to yourself and pride to your family as well. And of course pride to the island of Nevis, because when our biggest contractors are people who were born here, raised here, and have gone through the thick and thin of the development of this island, it is always a good thing. I'm not knocking any foreigners who come here and do and excel. But I want to say that I'm speaking to all of us, but more so those of us who would have grown up in this island and really want to be a part of the overall development of this island. I want you to, stick to the task at hand, and don't be dissuaded by anyone. Don't embrace negativity. Always accentuate the positive and make sure you're looking after yourself. Look out for yourself. Look out for your well-being. You have a family. Include your family in your overall effort to make sure you're looking out for yourself and your family. And let us build the island of Nevis together and make this place one that can be the envy of many around us. And many who come and embrace this island and say it's the best place they've been on earth, they're serious about that. So if they can say it, why can't we too? Why can't we say the same thing? And why can't we use our resources here to build up ourselves too? Let's do it. That is what CCM says. Let's do it. When others say you can't do it, we say let's do it, and we'll do it together. I believe my time is up, because I believe, yes, it looks like my time is up. I was going to go on to something else, but there's no need to go on to a new topic to fall short with that, because, quickly though, I'm going to say this. I'm going to pick it up next week, but I was speaking to a clinical psychologist up in Florida who is she's a good friend of mine from school days, so I caught up with her while I was there for the weekend. So I was asking her about persons, because clinical psychologists, they're not medical doctors, but they read the human being's mind, and they know about the trends and the ways of the human being. And of course I asked her one simple question. If someone is obsessed with another person, where they spend the day, the week, and the months and the years obsessed with a person's personal life, and every day they write about that person, every day they talk about that person, every day they're obsessed with that person, what is wrong with that person? She told me that person have a psychological problem. Could be a mental problem as well. I don't want to go into the details now, but I'm going to pick it up because we had a good chat, because I literally interviewed her, because I wanted to get a sense as to why some persons would spend their days and their months and their years talking about one person. Every day they dig into their public life, into their private life, into whatever life they have, whereas their life is falling apart, but they're spending time. So she did tell me that person must have a mental difficulty and seriously need help. But anyway, I'll pick it up again because I have the interview that I did with her. I've jotted down some notes, and I'll come back next time with that, because we need to get into the minds of some of these people who are obsessed with personality and not so much the issues that are important to advance the life of the people of Nevis. Well, that's my time, and it's just about 2 o'clock, so I want to thank you for listening today, and indeed it was my pleasure being here. Next week we'll be back, or I'll be back next week, God's willing, to have another program of On Point here on Von Radio. This program is archived on YouTube, so you'll get a chance to listen to it at some point in the future if you want to go ahead and do that. So that's my time for today. May God continue to bless all of us. May God continue to bless the island of Nevis. If you go to church on a Saturday, go and serve your God. If you go on Sunday, just go ahead and do likewise. Serve your God as well. And indeed, take care of yourself and your family, and continue to be the best you can be, to build the island of Nevis. Thank you very much. That has been my time, and have yourself a wonderful weekend.
The views and opinions expressed on the preceding program were solely those of the participants and do not necessarily